Hi, I'm Ariana. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite writers in three literary movements. First, here's my table of content. First, I'm going to talk about the Romanticism, which I will include William Wordsworth and Alphonse de Lamartine. And then I will talk about the Symbolism, which I will include Paul Verlaine and Charles Baudelaire. And finally, I will talk about the Existentialism, which I will include Wallace Stevens. So about the Romanticism, it's between the late 18th and mid-19th century, and it emphasized emotional sensitives and individual subjectivity. And here are some elements which include nature, emotions, reasons, or individual. So here are my two favorite writers. First is William Wordsworth. He applied the glorification of nature and themes of solitude through his poem, The Tintern Abbey. For example, Wordsworth wrote, "All of these intelligible world is lightening," which means that staying in natural environments makes him feel solitude and helps him to convey his inner self with nature. Wordsworth also mentioned the blue sky, the light of setting suns, and the ocean to transmit the idea of serendipity, lasting beauty, and infinity. So he wrote a very beautiful poem. And the next poem I really like is The Lake from Alphonse de Lamartine. He used the romantic elements to convey his emotion. For example, he described the sunset as it fades into dawn, to express the fading of time and nostalgia. He also mentioned the water flow of the lake by saying that flow quickly for them, take away the cares devolving them, to use as metaphor for the passage of time. Although the water flow will be different than 1 year ago, the lake will stay still and remain the same, remain eternal. And the next movement I will talk about is symbolism, which originated in the late 19th century. Symbolism refers to a series of unconscious connections which can create emotions, and the main characteristic contained express individual emotions through symbolism language. Here are two favorite writers. The first is the Paul Verlaine. He applied the technique of phonosymbology in his poem Autumn Song, which means creating symbols through sound to convey his emotion. For example, in the first stanza, Verlaine wrote long sobs, violin throbs, autumn wound, and monotonous sound that end with pronunciation of long vowel words to describe his feeling of sadness and longing. And the next writer I will talk about is Charles Baudelaire. I really like his poem A Carcass because he used a symbolic image to describe the perishable beauty of decaying body. For example, he wrote about the sun cooks the cadaver till dawn to convey the reality of life and death. In the last stanza, he wrote, "I'm the keeper of corpuses of love and of the form and the essence divine," which means that our body will eventually become carrion, and the spiritual love can survive in the decay of death. It is a very meaningful poem because the speaker is portraying love as something that is not physical or materialistic, but instead spiritual. The final movement is existentialism. It began in the mid to late 19th century, and it emphasized the importance of the individual existence, freedom, and choice. Here are some characteristics that include absence of God, focused on acceptance of life and death. So here's my favorite writer. He is Wallace Stevens. I really like his poem "The Sunday Morning" because he accepted death and confrontation. For example, he wrote, "All pleasure and all pains, remembering, blah blah blah. These are measures destined for her soul." In this sentence, he very accept the death and confrontation. And He aware of the existing things and the natural world. When he questioned why Seth appeared upon the riverbank, he also questioned why people try to adore the world and deny the non-existing things such as God. So this is the poem I really liked. Thank you for listening. Thanks for listening my oral presentation today.